Writing a good story is hard. Making a good movie is hard. Transforming one into the other is even harder. Welcome to Adaptive Difficulty. This is a show where a couple of book lovers take on the challenge of adaptations. I'm Cameron, and with my friend Josh, we explore the difficult and sometimes bizarre choices that happen in the course of making an adaptation.
This week, we are discussing the 1980 film The Empire Strikes Back, directed by Irving Kershner, and the book of the same name written by Donald F. Glut.
Hello, I'm Josh.
And I'm Cameron.
Here for the first time in person recording.
Yes, it's a very nice house.
So if there's any additional audio anomalies compared to usual, have patience with us. So where do you stand on The Empire Strikes Back? The movie.
The movie? I was always kind of a prequel child growing up because they were the ones that came out whenever I was a child. Yeah. But in terms of like the original series, I liked it second most because I liked Return of the Jedi more.
Okay, because the default fan opinion is like The Empire Strikes Back is the best one because it's like mature and complex and depressing. And like deepens the world. I
think looking back at it now, it feels like the most thematically interesting and like the most like in terms of like character arcs.
I think it had the best director behind it because Irving Kershner is not like a blockbuster guy. You probably have not even heard of his other movies.
That's true.
I feel like I go through phases like in like high school. I was like, The Empire Strikes Back's the best one because I was influenced by the internet and just like wanting to seem intelligent about it. And then recently I've been more like A New Hope is the best one because it was the most like transformative for movies as a whole and not just as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but I feel like that's two separate metrics to judge.
Right, but I feel like that was just like my person. I went from being a Star Wars fan to being more of a like movie fan. But now I'm like, I respect Star Wars more as like an innovation, but I probably do like Empire Strikes Back the most of just as a Star Wars fan of the original three. Return of the Jedi, I think, has the best finale.
Well, yeah, because it's like...
but it's just not very good until then.
Yeah. Of course, looking back at this movie, I was also like, okay, there's a lot happening here that's actually kind of boring.
Yeah, it's a little saggy until the final act.
Yeah, I think Act 1, when they're on Hoth, is fine, and then Act 2 is okay when you're with Luke.
I think Hoth is fine. The battle itself, once that drags on a little bit, and it's more of the movie than I remember, like every time.
Yeah, I feel like I just like condense that movie in my brain because I'm like, there's no way they're like going through asteroids for that long, or they're like.
When I was a kid, something about the like space worm, like the like side quest, just like I loved that scene.
Really,
it was just like funny, I guess. I don't know.
It's very, very phallic, Josh.
Well, I don't know about that.
It kind of is. The giant space worm.
But point being, we both like The Empire Strikes Back fine, or really well, even, because we're both Star Wars fans. Had you read this book version of it before?
Yeah, so I read all of the novelizations.
Oh yeah, you said this last time we covered. Yeah,
like when I was young, like when I was in like high school or whatever. Right. I remember like nothing from any of them really.
Yeah, I'd never read them. I read a couple of the novelizations of like expanded universe stuff here and there, but not the ones that were just like the movie over again.
It's like, why would you read the book for the movie when the movie exists?
Yeah. So I don't think there's a lot of reason to, well, I might have some stray thoughts on the movie itself that aren't related to the book. Okay, this is a weird note, so I'll put it at the very front of the show to alienate anyone. I just had the thought near the end where I was like, I'm surprised there hasn't been a Star Wars where the bit was like, the droid is horny.
Have you not seen Solo?
Is the droid horny in that one?
I mean, they're clearly in some kind of like relationship kind of thing.
Okay, because I was like I feel like in the original trilogy, it does and in the prequels, because they're also by George Lucas, does a good job of just like, these are droids with a personality. They're not like a gimmick. They're just characters in the movie. But then in the newer Disney stuff, it's like K2SO is Alan Tudyk, but as a droid, and the one in Solo is like an activist, but as a droid.
Yeah, but she's also like,
But yeah, she like has sex with the Millennium Falcon and then becomes its brain, right?
Kind of, vaguely. It's been a long time since I've seen that film. That film's a mess anyway, but like, it is weird.
Okay. Well,
like they have some kind of relationship, and it's like, it's Disney, so they're never going to be like, yeah, he's fucking the droid.
Yeah, but okay. Admittedly, I only remembered the activist angle and not the horny part. So I take it all back.
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes, and I don't know, I got a lot in this book where I'm like, these droids, and I understand that they're robots, they can't understand human emotions, but these are Star Wars droids, so they just have, like, personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, like, it comes off as very, like, neurodivergent coded, almost. And I know it's almost certainly not, like, purposeful.
Well, I was thinking, especially with, like, C-3PO, I was watching and reading, and I was like, honestly, like, if I had to imagine, ignoring, like, generative AI that just, like, pretends to say things that mean something, if I had to imagine, like, a robot got complex enough to be a person, they'd probably act like C-3PO. That feels right. Because he's, like, neurotic. So he's, like, technically minded, which is, like, obviously that's what a robot's going to be like. So,
I mean, you have R2-D2 who's not really technically minded.
Yeah, but I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, so. That's true.
The only other thought I had that is not actually related to, like, the book compared to the movie, the torture device they're going to use on Han, it's like dental equipment.
Well,
right?
I mean, are you ever more terrified than when you're on the dentist chair and you're like, I'm
not scared of the dentist, but I've also never had major dental surgery.
I've never had either.
I just get cleanings, so.
But I mean, it's like one of the few surgeries or few like medical procedures that like is invasive, but you're like awake for a lot of it.
That's true. I mean, I've had like one cavity filled, and it was fine.
Plus, your mouth is a sacred space, Joss, and they're putting their rubbered fingers all into it. It's just.
But I was just like, I looked up the lore because I was trying to figure out if anyone else had noticed this about the set design, and I just got a bunch of answers about the lore of it, which is that it's actually a piece of mining equipment from Cloud City that's been repurposed because obviously Lando didn't just like have a torture device sitting around on his mining planet.
If you had been like, Darth Vader brought his own personal torturing device, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that.
And I even saw some people saying it was Lando seeing his pure mining equipment used for torture that really had him change heart and stick his neck out.
That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
This is like...
He's like, I don't care about my former best friend being tortured. It's the fact that this pure robot that I love, okay, coming back to Solo now, is being twisted.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Millennium Falcon is already the horny robot by the time of this movie, which you have to remember.
And I know this is like just kind of like a ship thing, but like Han Solo is kind of like has a weird relationship with the Millennium Falcon. He calls it baby all the time. And so like
he's talking to in canon, according to Disney, he is talking to the activist robot from Solo.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were the only two things. On the book itself, much better than the novelization of A New Hope.
I agree. Although when you get that very first line, you're like, oh, we're in for a wild ride. But like,
yeah, that we mentioned this, although not the exact wording on the episode about A New Hope because we had peeked ahead. Do you have the line up?
I do. And the very first line is, now this is what I call cold.
Yeah. Because Luke is in Hoth. And honestly, I started reading this book and I was like, I've seen The Empire Strikes Back. I'm not going to waste my time going back to it when I'm busy this week. It's right before Christmas. Then I read that and then I kept reading and I was a couple chapters in and I was like, everything else in this happens in the movie. So does Luke say that? And I forgot. So then I went and watched the movie and he does not say that.
Well, it's like, that's like one of those things that you just take out because, I don't know, you're a competent director and you don't let George Lucas write your lines.
It was rough.
I still get annoyed every time that they write out the droids' names, like phonetically, as opposed to like just doing the letters and numbers.
I listened to our episode on A New Hope like 2 or 3 days ago, and you liked it.
Did I?
Last year.
No, there's no way. I couldn't possibly have changed that much. I would think maybe I was in the context of like, it makes sense as like a first entry in kind of like a science fiction kind of novel when you're like building up this kind of world. But like,
but you're like, now we get it.
Now
this is number 2.
Yeah.
So change the characters' names.
I mean, like, you're gonna say it the same way no matter what. So like,
they only do it for the 2 main characters though. There's a couple of droids where they say like R the letter 4 or whatever, like R2 unit.
So they'll do R2 unit, but if it has like if you give it its full name, they say it out phonetically because they do that with like it's like 21B, which is the the medical droid.
That's true. But I just feel like my main complaint with the one we read last year was the prose, which was just so highly technical sounding and just kind of emotionless.
Yeah.
And if anything, this one had the opposite problem, where it was almost too like broad and punchy. but I would much rather read something that's too broad and punchy than something that is too...
The first one feels a lot like... The first book feels a lot more like overly technical sci-fi, where this one feels like schlocky, kind of like
this one feels like it got to like the fantasy heart of Star Wars, which is more important to me because Star Wars has some sci-fi in it. I know people try to be like, it's only space fantasy, but it's like there is some sci-fi,
but it's like
it's more important to get the fantasy aspect than the sci-fi.
They're space wizards, Josh.
Yeah. And Donald F. Glut, who wrote it, he's gotten an Eisner Award, which is a comic award for comic writing. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense. His dialogue was fine, but probably mostly from the script. I just feel like he had a very good eye for like, how do I quickly describe the visuals of the scene and keep the story moving, which is what you would have to do writing a comic script. Mm-hmm. Like, give me just enough for the artist to put it on the page. What are the key details? Move on.
Yeah, because I looked a little bit back through the fourth book, and it's just like, I just feel like so much of it was just on and on and on and on. And I'm like, and granted, like, I look back at A New Hope, and like, there's not a lot that happens in terms of like plot.
No, I mean, it's a 3-act, Tatooine wants to go out into the world, gets a way to go out into the world, saves the princess from Death Star, and then Act 3 blows it up.
So, I mean, there's not like, and there's like, the characters are there, but they're like very like stock characters. Whereas I think in this one, they're like starting to like flesh them out more. Exactly.
Yeah. We were upset because, well, not upset, whatever. I mean, we were very mad reading it. Because we're like, the main thing you could gain from turning it into a book is like seeing inside the characters' heads. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't in the first one. Whereas this one does some. Yeah. Like, it's almost like omnipotent point of view. Like, you get like the Imperial's thoughts, you get the droid's thoughts, you get the probe droid's thoughts at one point.
That one was very bizarre, and I was like, okay, this is how I know this book is going to be fine. Because, like, who's going to do that? It's the probe droid.
The probe droid? Get him.
I made a mistake. The probe droid. No, because I actually really like the Imperial scenes, and you get those in the movie too. But like, seeing like how they like actually think about things that are happening is like an interesting bit of world building that you don't really get in like the actual movies themselves, because they're just kind of like generic stock Nazi bad guys.
Yeah, I feel like in the movies they've always been a little perfunctory to me. Like, it's like, oh, here we're gonna see Darth Vader, choke someone out to show that he's mean, and cruel. But in the books, they had some like there was a character feeling like the sense of obligation that he had to like fess up to his mistake, but knew he was going to get killed for it. And like, it was interesting to see them more as like humans.
Yeah. And you get a lot into like Darth Vader's head whenever he's like getting the call from the Emperor, and it's like, this is the only man he's ever feared.
Yeah. Does Darth Vader know that Luke is his son at that point in time? Because I think this is something that changed because I was watching a crappy Laserdisc edition of the original cut, and I think they changed this in the special edition to where he implies he does.
Well, it's kind of weird because like the ending is the ending where he's like, I am your father,
right?
And I'm like, at what point
did he learn?
I feel like,
does he know?
I mean, he has to know whenever the Emperor's like, there's a Skywalker out there, like he's not that dumb, right?
Yeah, and in the book, there's even like after that scene with the Emperor, the narration is like, Darth Vader knew what his nefarious plan to recruit Luke would be. So is it like, almost was like the author hedging his bets, like maybe Darth Vader's lying about this because I don't know what happens in episode 6.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point, because I mean, like, we look back on it and like, of course this is a true statement, but like, he is like an evil space wizard who Yoda in like the chapter before was like, he will lie to you.
Yeah, well, I remember my mom's talked about how like she saw the first one because everybody saw it when it came out, and her parents did not like it. So, but then by the time the second one came out, she was like, well, I like it, so I'll go see it with my friends. And she was like, we were just like wondering if he was lying, like nobody knew until it was proven, beyond a doubt in episode 6 when Ben confirms it. So it's possible the author was just like, I have to hedge my bets here because I don't know what's going on.
I also find interesting is that whole, no, there is another person.
Yeah.
It's like, how...
Well, what they always say is that Lucas really planned to make the sequels faster, since he never made them. And there would be another Jedi other than Leia. Like, she was not planned to be one.
Oh, so Leia was
not... And Luke was going to have to go, like, search for her. And I'm kind of like, why couldn't... If you realized you weren't going to make more movies, so you just, like, made it Leia, why couldn't the plot of episode 6 just have been going to find the other one? but
because they had to build a second Death Star, Josh.
But I do question that now, though, because isn't Leia exhibiting a little bit of the Force at the end when she's like, "We have to go back"? Luke is there.
I think that, I mean, like,
at least that's that would be what you say now, like knowing that she has the Force.
In universe, like the Force always exists for everyone, even if you. Well,
that's true. So she could tap into it to like save her brother, even without actually having it or whatever. And I guess in the world where they did go find another Jedi, they're not even necessarily siblings.
Yeah.
So.
But then you can't have the weird incest kiss scene, Josh, which is essential for George Lucas.
That's true.
Boba Fett still rocks.
Yeah, I always, like, by the time I realize he's in the movie, he's, like, out of it again. I'm like,
well, I mean, yeah.
Like, I drift off a little bit, and I'm like, oh, there's Boba Fett. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. He commanded the presence.
I think one thing that the movie does way better than the book is Han and Leia's dynamic.
Oh, there is something about, like, when you have a shorter time frame, because you're like, it's a movie and you only have so much time, having, like, short, kind of, like, quippy, like, digging at each other is, like, cute and fun, and is, like, enough of a shorthand to, like, get them to convince that. But when I have several chapters of them just doing that back and forth, I'm like, I'm tired of this.
It's not even that I got tired of it. I think it's that, because one thing we have to remember is that he would have been writing this from a shooting script, not from the movie itself, because it had to come out, like, a week before the movie. So he hasn't seen the performances when he's writing. In the movie, Han, like, to be honest, Han is pretty, like, sexually aggressive in the movie. Like, he's really pushing it. But Leia is very sarcastic and quippy herself and just has this sort of, like, roughness to, like, keep up with him, if that makes sense. Whereas the book portrays her as, like, saying everything, like, softly and weakly.
Well, she's a woman, Josh.
Because I guess the author just read it that way. Because I guess, like, I feel like that really made me appreciate Carrie Fisher's performance because she, like, rose to the level to make it work without seeming creepy.
Yeah.
Even though it easily could have. But you feel like they're equals when you watch the movie, you know.
I mean, I do appreciate in this book, you like when you're in, like, Han's head, like, you do get to, like, see him kind of be flustered by, like, everything that she's doing.
Right. You do get some moments like that, which help it, like, I don't think is, like, downright awful in the book, but it's just better performed in the movie. And also, there's some classic lines from Han's opinion of women. Sorry.
Of women's.
Which is that he does not understand, quote, females, mammalian, reptilian, or some biological class yet to be discovered.
Yeah. I saw that line and I was like, that's a gatekeeper. Do you see that line towards the end when they're like, the stormtroopers are being mowed down by like Chewbacca and Chewbacca and Leia on Cloud City, and they're like, they're going to be so surprised to learn that there's just one human female and one male Wookiee just gunning them down. I was like, why is it so interesting? It's so interesting to me to be like, why'd you include that one human female, one male Wookiee kind of dynamic?
Yeah, I didn't catch that, honestly. There's a lot of emphasis on how much the Tauntaun stinks, to the point where it's like, another bubble of disgusting gas erupted from the entrails of the Tauntaun. It's like, okay, they mention him being smelly in the movie, but...
Yeah, I maybe I just didn't catch it. I thought they only mentioned in the movie when I watched it, whenever they cut him open.
Right, yeah, Han just is like, oh, PU, or whatever, you know. But in the book, it's like 2 paragraphs in a row about how bad it stinks.
What do you think of the Dagobah training sequence? Because it's a lot longer and more in-depth than what we get in the movie.
I didn't notice it being that much longer, other than the fact that when you write things down in paragraphs, it just innately is. I think maybe there's like one sequence where he like does some more flips than he does in the movie. But I did notice when he went into the like dark cave of the Freudian subconscious, he gets covered in like a web that he has to like shake off, which in the movie he just goes down and finds Darth Vader.
Yeah. Something womb.
That's one scene that I thought was so cool as a kid. Like, it blew my mind. You know, like baby's first exposure to like
special effects.
No, to like character depth. Like, oh shit, his face is in the Darth Vader helmet. It's like he is Darth Vader. So.
See, I was a dumb child, so I was just like, I don't understand this.
Well, I feel like it started out, you know, when I was like 5. It was just like, I don't know what's going on, but it's intriguing. And then, you know, when I was, you know, an erudite 9-year-old, I was like, oh, yes, you know, it's a reflection of his inner turmoil.
I think when I was a 9-year-old, I called him Dark Vader.
Okay. Well, Some of us were ahead of you.
That's fair, Josh. I was a dumb child, Josh. You can't blame me for that.
But yeah, the training seemed fine. The one that came across as, I think anytime there's space combat in the movie, it comes across so much worse on paper.
Oh, yeah, but I also feel like this is also just true in, this is the problem I had with the chase sequence, is that it felt so slow.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's because, like, I honestly, I think it's because of the fact that they're in space, and I was like, if it's like a boat on the sea or whatever, you have, like, waves to kind of, like, pay attention to, and, like, other things in the horizon, but now it's just, like, the blank void of space. Oh, and here are some asteroids.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very much like...
But it's like even the space battle and the chase, once you have to put it on the page, it just takes so long to describe a ship moving, even though the ship is fast on screen, that it just slows it down so much, you know?
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle the...
huge battle in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
True.
Because, like, in episode 4, it's like, it's about a very small section of, like, of fighters, and it's really only really focused on Luke.
Right.
Whereas in this one, it's like, you have, or the one we're going to read next, is that you have, like, Lando Calrissian and their kind of thing, and then the big ships with Admiral Akbar, and then you have the ground troops, and I'm just like, that feels like a lot to navigate and, like, portray in a way that's not, like, either too frantic, but also, like, not too boring.
Yeah, or, I mean, to go back to something we did discuss last year, none of the sequences in the book or the movie of this one are as slow as the trench run in A New Hope. Especially the book version of the trench run.
They're in there for so long, and like I understand that like it's a small moon, but like come on.
Yeah. So, speaking of the Dagobah training, which I know we semi moved on from, Yoda's blue.
Yes, I
has long hair.
Well, like the blue part was kind of the most confusing to me. I was like, wait, why is he blue? But also, like, the hair, I was like, maybe I missed over that, but I just kind of pictured it as like kind of like long, like wispy white hair, and he kind of vaguely has that in like the movie.
It seems clear to me that he's supposed to have more hair than he does in the movie, the way he's described. They also say his face is wrinkled,
but eternally,
but ageless.
Yeah,
which is not true. He looks 10,000 years old in the movie. But again, this is a detail from the shooting script, so they just didn't know what he would look like.
He seems more like directly like an elf in the book, as opposed to like...
and they even call him an elf, which they don't do in the movie, do
No.
they? Yeah. Luke is like, I can't believe this elf isn't Yoda or whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of liked it as like, if you know who Yoda is and exactly what he looks like, it's like you can't watch the movie with fresh eyes and be like, because you're supposed to, when you first watch it, be with Luke and be like, well, where's the like famous warrior he's supposed to meet? But you can't do that because Yoda's such an iconic image now.
Yeah.
Whereas in the book, if you let yourself suspend your disbelief for a little bit, you're like, well, I don't know this blue, long-haired elf. So, you know, it lets you kind of get back into the mindset that the story was supposed to have.
Did you notice in the book that, like, the typical Yoda speech pattern is not, like, followed as harshly as it is in other things?
Yeah, especially...
at the beginning.
At the beginning, although even in this movie, it's not quite as severe as, like, when he comes back in the prequels. Like, he speaks more full sentences in order in this movie than in, like, Attack of the Clones.
Well, that's you know, that's Flanderization right there, where it's like, he's this, like, weird alien person, so he's old and wise, so he's gonna say things that, A, sound archaic, which I think is what they try to mainly achieve in the book, but also, like, kind of weird and alien, which is kind of with the weird sentence order. The
main time I noticed it, and just thought it had a worse rhythm, was his big, like, celestial monologue where he's like, luminous beings are, but in the book he says, luminous beings we are. So,
yeah. And it's just a matter of, like, how it sounds out loud, you can't get unless you have someone say it out loud, and so.
Right.
But Yoda, world-class master troll.
And I found out from reading this book, and you may have already known this because you're more of a lorehead than me, but his walking stick, do you remember its name?
No, and I did not. I'm not that deep into Star Wars lore.
Well, I thought maybe because you were talking about the Old Republic, I was like, maybe there's like an Old Republic like loot pickup. That's the Geimer stick.
No, I just like I always love it when like fantasy and science fiction just throws nouns at you and you're just like, here, deal with it. Because like I have absolutely no concept of like what this is supposed to do or like why I should care about it.
So I looked up the Geimer stick, which of course has two very lengthy Wikipedia entries, canon and legends, and it dispenses nutritional like fluid Like, that's why Yoda sucks on it. And puts it in his mouth. At least according to the lore, not the movie.
Okay, I'm back on the phallic imagery now, Josh. I just, like, that feels like the kind of thing that you could, like, include as, like, I don't know, like a parenthetical or as, like, another sentence somewhere in there to kind of explain to your audience. Because, I mean, also, like, why would you do that? It's just much more interesting to him to be, like, an old quirk where he's just, like, suckling on, like, the stick, like...
Right, but, you know, like, they mind every single second of these things in Legends, you know. So.
And that's why they're all bad, Josh. Yeah. Disney was right to decanonize them.
Yeah.
And that's a firm stance, and I'll die on that hill, by the way.
It was the right move in the first place. Their position has been weakened by some of the quality of what they've added to the canon.
That's fair.
But...
Well, I mean, their position is, like, I think the concept of canon is stupid, but, like, their position was always, like, these are legends, so, like, they could have existed, and as long as they don't, like, directly contradict what we have, then it's fine.
And honestly, the impression I get, because I follow, like, he's kind of an internet, like, villain to, like, weird internet, like, hate mongers, Pablo Hidalgo, who, like, works for the Lucasfilm Story Group.
Mm-hmm.
But the impression I get is the Story Group is just kind of there to, like, know everything about Star Wars, and then if the creatives want to go and be like, what could I put in my movie that's like this, that already exists, you know, they'll tell them. But they don't actively influence. They're like, J.J. Abrams, go make whatever movie you want to make. We're not going to stop you from adding anything. We'll just document it and add it to the, like, world encyclopedia once you do. Which I feel like is respectable, even if it doesn't always have the best end result. Yeah. But just, like, letting creatives do their thing. But people have this impression that they're, like, this, like, shadowy organization that's, like, making Star Wars woke or whatever, and that's not.
I mean, it's just a matter of, like, it's something I don't like, therefore it must be a conspiracy, because why could this thing that I liked as a child be worse as an adult?
Moving back to the book, one thing I found really odd was the description of the blue flame of Darth Vader's laser sword.
Yes, I thought that was weird too, because I was like, wait.
Because this is one where it's like, okay, Yoda's blue because you're using the shooting script and you haven't seen the movie, but you saw Star Wars 1 and it did not have a blue flame.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that's supposed to kind of hint there that, like, there's something not quite right, and it's like also it's just Luke as well.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it was intended to, because he does use a red sword in the movie. But I think that's cave.
Because, I think that just comes down to the fact that, like, you need to be able to see these characters in darkness and know who they are.
Yeah, but I think it's totally possible that in the script they meant for him to have Luke's lightsaber or Anakin's lightsaber, as it is.
Yeah. I didn't go back as far, but he does have a red laser sword in the fourth one, right?
Yeah. In the book?
Yeah.
Oh, I assume, but I don't remember.
I feel like we would have brought that up.
Yeah, if it also described his lightsaber as having a blue flame. And I was even thinking, like, maybe it's like the Old Republic thing, where you can have a flame and a core that are two different colors. So he has, like, a red sword, but it's emitting some blue flame, like any flame would do.
Oh, or it's like, you know, it's like Luke and his journey. It's like he's the dark side inside of him. It's going to threat take over.
Yeah.
Kind of
but
thing.
the laser swords, lightsabers, clearly are not.
They're laser swords, Josh.
Clearly are not flames, so they don't work like that.
I mean, they're like plasma, which is close enough to fire.
Han's dialogue takes a couple hits.
I sit there and I think this is true for the movie too, did we have to be with them being chased for so long? Could we have, like, maybe cut out maybe 5 minutes or maybe like a chapter?
Oh, okay. I'm not there in my head. Like, it didn't bother me. The chase in the movie does not bother me. If anything is slightly too long, it's the Hoth battle rather than the chase.
Well, I mean, the Hoth battle is slow because the AT-ATs are slow, or whatever the hell they call them in the book.
But I do agree that, like, the chase is there because you have to slow down the protagonist while Luke is out at Dagobah. And they could have given them a more motivated thing to do. Yeah,
I mean, if you had just been like, and, you know, this is a movie from the 1980s, so, like, why are we rewriting it? And, like, I don't think it's, like, that big of a deal, but, like, just have them escape and have them go on a mission. Which I guess is what happens in, like, Episode 8 when they go on the Canto Bight thing.
Yeah. Well, I was like, Episode 8, the chase is literally slow. There's, like, a lore reason that because it's like they have to go slow to hide from the cloaking device or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but...
And, yeah, people got mad with when they can't go to the hyperdrive in this one. Yeah.
They mention the hyperdrive, because I noticed this. I was like, people get so mad about the hyperdrive in Episode 8, but at least in the book, they mention, like, oh, a craft that small couldn't have a hyperdrive or whatever.
Cloaking device,
which is what they're using in Episode 8. So, like, they're clear, like...
They're not using a cloaking device in Episode 8.
Isn't it, like... the cloaking device only hides them as long as they're going slow or something like that.
No. They're being tracked through hyperspace, which is the new fangled technology that no one likes because it destroys the lore or something.
Okay. Whatever. Anyway, we're not going to accomplish... I don't think either of us hate episode 8, but we're also not going to accomplish anything by relitigating it.
That's fair.
We'll read the book when we get to it in 7 years.
7 years. So stay tuned. What do you think of Lando Calrissian in this book? I now am forever cursed by having seen Solo, so now I have to factor in his characterization of...
Okay, so there's a lot of Solo talk in this episode, but I guess that makes sense because Han is maybe more of a main character in Empire than he is in any of the other movies.
Yeah.
My hot take ever since I saw Solo is that Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo is giving a better performance than Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah, I can see that. I just feel like, I don't know, and we probably shouldn't... I don't like Solo, and I don't want to spend time talking about it.
I think Solo has some merit, including Alden's performance. I think Lando feels like he's just doing an impression, whereas Alden feels like he's playing a character. But anyway, that's not really a conclusion related to The Empire Strikes Back. So, what were you going to say about it?
I don't know. I just feel like he feels off to me compared to the movie. I don't know what it is.
I didn't notice anything. I was mostly just he's saying the same things. The one thing that did bother me with the scenes that include him is when they get captured or whatever, and Lando is like, I did what I could, I'm sorry. And Han says, I'm sorry too. In the movie, I was like, wow, that really hit me this time. Han's performance is really good. You feel he is this scoundrel guy, but he really felt like Lando was a friend and is feeling the betrayal. And in the book, they put that line before... It's as soon as the betrayal is revealed, but before they've tried to attack Darth Vader, they say it. And I'm like, how did they have the time to have this conversation? And it just doesn't land as well. They flipped the order of, they try to shoot Darth Vader and everything first, and then flip the order in the movie.
I didn't realize that.
So, it's they open the door, and they see Darth Vader and Boba Fett there, and then they have the, I'm sorry, I had to do this, I'm sorry too, conversation. And then they try to shoot Darth Vader, and it's what was Darth Vader doing?
He's aura farming, Josh. She does in every scene where he just kind of stands there, menacingly. I don't know if you notice, this is a very small thing. Do you notice that every time they use the word the Force in there, even though when they're not talking about the Force that the Jedi use, they capitalize it?
No.
So somewhere in in the Hoth battle, they're the force of the war or of the things stomping around is causing the ice caves to collapse, and they're capitalized the F. And I just wonder if when they were editing this, if they just Control F to found all the Force ones and capitalized it.
Maybe they had a way of doing that in 1980. I guess they probably did.
I'm not saying it's possible that it's when they were.
Oh yeah, you have a later edition. You don't happen to have a page for where that happened. Well, that wouldn't help me.
You'll hold on. I probably get you one.
But I won't have this.
At the very beginning of chapter 6, it says the very first sentence says. The Rebel Command Center, its walls and ceiling still shaking and cracking under the force of the battle.
Oh, yeah, it does not say that on mine.
So it's not capitalized?
This is from right before. This was printed right before The Phantom Menace came out.
Oh, okay. So when they made this book, they Control F and found forced and
they added that to the style guide and missed that you can say force without meaning the force.
I think I took 2 pictures of that of that happening. Yeah. Which is, I just thought was there's no way that this is intentional, right?
I'm not even sure the actual force is capitalized in my mind.
No, I think the actual force is capitalized in mine, but
but I'm saying I'm not even sure they did that for when they mean the force in mind.
I bet if they're it's the living force, that's when they're capitalized it. But
yeah, something like. But going back to because there's 2 more of Han's dialogue getting chopped up. He doesn't say "never tell me the odds." He says some much more generic thing in response to C-3PO telling him that. And he also, and I already expected this because it's such a famous ad lib, he doesn't say I know when he goes into the carbonite freezing room. Both of their lines are a lot longer and not as effective.
Which, is one of those things where I feel we forgive more in writing, especially if you're not used to very quick writing, where it's we're allowed to say full sentences to each other while we're being arrested and assassinating. I did miss that sequence because it is a very good sequence.
Yeah. I liked the mention during the final showdown, which is where we're at basically. They've gone to Cloud City. Luke has been baited into the trap.
I like that little sequence where R2-D2 is like, if I had stepped one step closer, I would have been squashed.
But they mention when Vader's trying to convince Luke that he says Vader's influence seemed to Luke like a thing alive. I just thought that was a nice description. Like, it was interesting to think of it as like this other living force that is also trying to influence you in addition to just like rhetoric.
Yeah, I mean, and this comes down into kind of like the philosophical way how the Force works in Star Wars universe, which every version
changes.
every new edition changes how it works. But it's like, I don't know, it's just like it becomes a lot more in the book, and of course like you can't do this in the movie, where like the internal battle that is like being externalized in like the Force is like just very nice, kind of witnessing like them thinking about all those kinds of things. But
and then if you have any other things to bring up, prompt yourself, but I have like 2 more notes.
I will go through your notes, and I have like very small things.
During the I am your father reveal, Luke is standing.
I thought that was, I mean, that whole sequence is like slightly changed, where it's like,
because he's on the thing that he's hanging on to, and then he like manages to get off of it and is standing again for the actual reveal.
Well, I think he gets his hand chopped off. Like, he stands up and goes back to fight on the little like kind of walkway, and then he gets his hand chopped off, and he kind of like falls down and like holds on to it.
Right.
And then he gets the reveal
in the movie.
No, I think in the book too.
They mention him walking like as Vader says it, I think. In the book. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm just placing the movie into the words.
And then I really like the description again during the point where Vader's trying to like convince Luke and everything. Vader was sounding like an evil version of Yoda.
Oh yeah, that line was like, okay.
That was very like, I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards level.
I mean, like, it is true, but like, did we need to say it that way? I just like, I think of that, and I don't know. Subtlety has never been Star Wars' strong suit, so like, I don't know why you would try to do it.
No, it didn't super bother me. I just thought it was funny because it was like, yeah, like I feel like if you're a like marginally active viewer of the movie, you got this.
I don't know, Josh. I've met a lot of viewers of Star Wars, and I've talked with them.
Well, that's true. Okay, I've read enough. Not to talk more about Episode 8, but a lot of people did not even understand what they were watching, and then decided they hated it. So,
but yeah, I really didn't have that many problems with this book. I mean, I thought it was beyond like the first sequence where I'm like, okay, or that first line where it's like, okay, we're in for it, and then it got better, and then you had some weird dips with like the probe droids, like ideas of the world. But I really had no issues. I just occasionally have issues, and this is just a factor of like having to explain like science fiction things in like real world terms. But like describing Slave One as an elephant face, I was like, that really threw me out of it, because I'm like,
well, again, just think of it as it's like Lord of the Rings. It's being translated for us to understand. They wouldn't think of it as an elephant face, but we would.
I understand that, but that's a cop out. And I know it, like, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, the fact that he does it occasionally does help, like, prevent him from going into, like, massive descriptions of, like, what it would look like, which is what the problem with the fourth one.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, Han Solo says, like, I'll see you in hell in this one, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Hell is real in the Star Wars universe.
No.
Well, it doesn't have to be real for people to say it, but, you know, if they also have the concept of hell, then I bet it must be real.
Yeah. I mean, it's in a galaxy far, far away, Josh, so it's still in our universe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like, I already recognize that there are different conceptions of hell based on like religions and mythologies and whatnot. But like, when you say something as concrete as an elephant, I'm like, those are from Earth.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to just go ahead to like the rating, like how difficult would this be to turn into a book based on the movie? It would be like, what's the Yoshi, the second easiest.
Yes,
because it's already a good story.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to not. We actually rated the first one a Mario because we just thought making a movie into a book was so hard.
We should reevaluate that one.
I've been convinced that it's easier than that book made it look.
I just think that maybe that book was bad. Well, that book was written by George Lucas.
It was written by Alan Dean Foster, claiming to be George Lucas. So it's a Yoshi, and I think to me this beats the game because it's perfectly serviceable. It was perfectly nice time to read. I liked some of the inner thoughts, like I mentioned, but it's not like it is an out-and-out improvement on the movie. Like the movie is always going to be more iconic and more rewatchable than this is rereadable.
That's true. I feel like the only time and actually I was carrying this around school when I was doing my work, and people asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, it's a Star Wars thing, and they're like, why would you read Star Wars? And I sat there and I was like, I don't really know. Because
well, I feel like it's not
a bad read. It's just like, I mean, this is largely true for a lot of books though, or that are turned into movies, where it's like the movie, because it's so much shorter, it's a lot easier to reconsume.
Well, that's true, but it's like, but I think this just didn't like. I think this has much faster and punchier prose than the previous one, but it's also not like it suddenly became Faulkner, where I'm like, I would reread this because the prose is so beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't add an artistic dimension, really.
Yeah, but it's not trying to be a literary work.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying, like, that is kind of the only situation where I could imagine the novelization of a movie getting a higher mark than the movie. Which is, I think, also true for the movies. Like, it has to be like exceptionally visually
Compelling.
Great, or, you know.
I'm trying to imagine what like a literary prose style would do to this story.
Well, as we also mentioned, because I listened to it recently, we also mentioned the Shakespeare versions in last year's episode, so we could read those and find out.
I'm not familiar.
Shakespeare actually wrote Shakespeare wrote adaptations of these.
I was really here being like, there's no way Josh's going to say this, but if he starts saying it, it must be true. That's how much I trust you, Josh.
No, somebody who they're actually better than they sound. I haven't read them all the way through, but it's someone who really does understand Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. It's not just like, because you hear that and you think like, oh, they just went in and like changed all the V's to thous, or the U's to thous or whatever. But no, they actually like write it in like pentameter and with like proper language and like understand like Shakespearean language and pacing. It's like a scholar of Shakespeare or something like that.
That would be something to possibly do for like a mini episode.
Yeah. So they sound interesting. So we could find out if that adds anything that these novelizations are not giving us.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, because my initial rating was that like, I feel like when you like, isn't really like it's not better than the movie, but it's not really like what our scale necessarily is. It's like, I mean, it kind of is. Right,
but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's worse, or it's not. I'm saying it's, like, perfectly successful. It beat the game, but it's not. I could imagine it impressing me more, which is why I would not say it, like, completes it, got 100%.
And is it just, like, the literary style that would make you...
Well, it's like, I don't know until they put it in front of me. It's like Steve Jobs. Like, I make the things
Josh,
people don't know they want.
You have an imagination.
Somebody needs to make the Empire Strikes Back novel that I don't know I want.
Well, you make it, Josh.
Well, I have to get the rights.
No, you don't, Josh. You just go upload it to AO3.
But yeah, that's like...
And make it so that Luke and Leia don't kiss.
No, what? It's going to be mostly Luke and Leia kissing.
Well, it's going to fit right in with AO3.
And also that fits perfectly well with Shakespeare, too.
That's true. I don't know. Does Shakespeare have any incest?
Well, there's definitely like siblings who don't know they're siblings and could have that tension every now and then. There's definitely... I would actually be shocked to find out there's no Shakespeare plays with incest. So I'm just assuming there are.
That's fair.
Okay, so did I have anything else to say about this? I don't think so. Did you?
Oh,
I wanted to go back to... Did they know it was just the novel of The Empire Strikes Back when they asked why you would read Star Wars? Because there's so many Star Wars books, I feel like it's not that weird of a thing to
they're
read.
Like, oh, they're like rereading Star Wars. What Star Wars? And I was like, oh, it's the novelizations of the movies.
Oh, and then they were like, why would you read that?
Yeah, and they were like, are they good?
And you said it's for my podcast. You should listen to it.
No, Josh, I can't advertise that. No, I talked to them and I was like, yeah, they're good. I just don't know if I'm trying to think about who is the best audience to read this book, because your average Star Wars fan can't read, so let's get off of them.
Okay, we don't have to be too harsh. Well, it's interesting to think, because these really, like, the reason they're written to the script, and like they were just like a marketing material. Like, we put the book out a month before the movie. Maybe some people read it and say it's good. People see it on the store shelves and reminds them that Star Wars is coming out. Like, they really weren't designed as a product to have a shelf life past like the movie releasing, even though they do.
Do you think that's different now that with like the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy?
I think at least since the prequel trilogy, there's been some pressure on the authors, especially because I know like the Revenge of the Sith novelization is kind of famous for maybe being better than the
that's
movie.
What I've heard.
I think there's maybe I think the authors are more aware of Star Wars' place in the culture, that the book will last forever also. you know?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking about like if I was writing this book and I'm like, okay, Star Wars as a film was a hit phenomenon, but like, what are the odds that like the second one is also good and not just like a cash grab?
Yeah, like there, because you at least for the first two, you can imagine for the first one, nobody even knows if it'll be successful, so it's just like a writer for hire job.
Mm-hmm.
For the second one, it's kind of similar. Like I know the first one's the most profitable movie ever, but sequels are not really a thing. Like the idea that sequels existed and could be good movies on their own merits wasn't really a popular idea at this point in time.
It's also not even really true now.
Like, but Star Wars and like Indiana Jones and like maybe some of the better James Bond movies are kind of like changing that, I guess. So like they're probably assuming it'll be bad. So again, it's just like right for hire. By the third one, you probably know like, okay, if there's something to these. But yeah, now you would be conscious, like even if it's one of the lesser received Star Wars movies, like
Rise of Skywalker,
Attack of the Clones, there will always be some nerd going back to it. Like, I wonder what the book's like. Or people like us who are doing it as like a bit.
The best way of doing anything for the bit.
I think it'll be interesting to see if we do get to every one.
How they change.
How, if it seems like they're conscious of that change.
Well, I mean, also you have to realize that like you're going across several decades of like...
Several decades, almost always a different author, except one thing I dread in roughly 4 to 5 years' time is that episode 7's novel was written by Alan Dean Foster as like a nostalgia, like we brought back the novel writer of the first one.
You know, there's something very appropriate about that.
It is, but I don't know. I can tolerate like every Star Wars movie except like episode 9. So if episode 7's novel is as unreadable compared to the movie as A New Hope, it'll be a rough time.
There's a prologue for episode 6 in my book. And it has the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, which doesn't for the other ones.
That seems like a conscious, like, okay, this is like a brand with like things that pertain, you know, there's always the a long time ago and the crawl, like it's starting to calcify as like, what is Star Wars, you know?
The prologue feels very kind of like...
Opening crawl,
because the very first sentence is a sentence fragment, thank you. But it's the very depth of space, which feels like a very kind of opening line.
Yeah. War!
So, what is it good for? Which one's that one?
War is Revenge of the Sith, I think. And then episode 9 also has a single word, but I can't remember what it is.
No, episode 9 is The Dead Speaks or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I think
the crawl of episode 9 actually kind of goes hard. Yeah. And then...
and then it falls apart.
Honestly, like, yeah. There's a lot that could have been good about episode 9. I feel like, okay. I have too much to say about this to not address them right now. But... I think people get this impression that's like, oh, episode 8 was so different from episode 7 that episode 9 was doomed. And I'm like, no, there were so many ways that you could have at least just made like a simple but competent movie.
Well, I mean, it's like...
but like, you didn't like...
I mean, it's like a 3-act story sequence where you have like the setup in the first part, you do the twist in the second part, and then you fall out from the twist from there.
Yeah,
like,
you just like come up with some way to have a final fight with the First Order, decide whether Kylo turns good or Rey turns bad, and then make that movie. And like,
I mean, just be like, I don't think the question was whether was Rey going to turn bad. I think the question was always going to be was
Kylo going to turn good?
Yeah,
but it's like it's Star Wars.
I mean, yeah,
he's going to turn good.
Which I mean, like this is the problem with all kind of media where like when you know the audience who it's for, you can kind of guess what the ending's going to be. Which I mean doesn't matter as long as you enjoy the ride there.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't think it was as impossible a task as people portray it. Even if you don't like episode 8, I think it was possible to just... I think if they had made a perfectly competent, if not amazing, episode 9, the whole sequel trilogy would be like way better received right now than it is.
I can't wait until we record this episode like 7 years in the future and like
the sequel trilogy has been reevaluated, like just like the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, and it's like these are actually the best Star Wars films, and here's why.
But you know, I was an adult when the sequel trilogy came out, so I wasn't an adult. I was in high school for part of it, but
it's weird to think that it started in high school.
Yeah, episode 7 turned 10 years old this week.
See, that's wild to me because I feel like that came out like
it's been longer since episode 9 came out to today than from when it came out compared to episode 7.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I think COVID stole like 3. Like it feels like I would say episode 9 feels like it came out 3 years ago, but it came out 6 years ago. Any other recent media or entertaining things?
I saw Has Been Hotel season 2 came out. I watched that. That's pretty good. I've
I feel like you've slowly mentioned Has Been Hotel like the last 3 episodes.
I just like the media that I've been watching over the past like 3 months or something.
Fair enough.
Because I think the last time we recorded, it was like halfway done with the season.
Okay.
And they like release 2 episodes every week or so. So like I wasn't finished with it yet, but now I'm finished with it. So you have about a year before I talk about it again.
Cool.
I liked it. I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Cool.
Which is
that's like a very realistic medieval simulator, right?
And I'm gonna marry the prince.
Yeah. The only scene I've seen from that is like it was like a YouTube short where you're like in a cart with like some dude, and he's like, "What do you prefer, tits or ass?"
Yeah,
you have to answer him.
It's one of those games. It's actually very good. I also played Ghost of Yote, which is a Japanese samurai game.
That's the sequel of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, they're not like directly related though.
Yeah, I heard that one was better.
The Tsushima one?
No, I heard Tsushima was a little plain. Like, it was just kind of Assassin's Creed with samurai filter.
Yeah, I think.
And then I heard Yote was just more fun.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not finished with it yet, but
I've been watching Christmas movies and stuff. Have you seen The Holdovers?
No.
Very good.
Explain it to me.
It came out 2 years ago, and it was Oscar nominated when it did. It's set in like a New England boarding school for like middle school and high school boys. And Paul Giamatti is a professor there who's kind of a hard ass and has a lazy eye. And The Holdovers is like, the idea is like kids who have to stay there during the Christmas season because their parents aren't picking them up.
Oh.
So they're held over.
Okay.
And Paul Giamatti is the professor assigned to stay on campus and watch after them.
And they get up to all kind of hijinks.
Well, so there's like 5 of them to start, but pretty quickly, 4 of them get permission to like go skiing with one of the rich kids because it's a boarding school. So they all fly out with him to the slopes, and so it's just one kid left, the main character, Paul Giamatti, and then the cook, who is a black woman played by Divine Joy Randolph.
Okay.
And her son has recently, he attended this boarding school, but died in Vietnam because he was drafted. Just very recently died, like it's set then. And it's just like it's very like seasonal depression movie.
Okay.
But also a comedy. It's by the director of, have you heard of Sideways?
Yes.
And Election with Reese Witherspoon, where she like runs for student president, and Matthew Broderick's in it, and like has like a weird Oedipal like thing with her.
No. I did not know that part, but okay.
Not Oedipal, Freudian at best. Anyway, Election is a very good movie. The Holdovers is probably my favorite of the 2 movies I've seen by him. He also did Downsizing, that one where Matt Damon turned small.
Oh, okay. Now you're more on my speed. Okay, I'm with you now.
Which did not have quite the same cultural impact.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers and being like, I'll never see that movie.
But it's very good. Just like all the characters feel so real. It's like set up until New Year's because they cover the whole like Christmas break season. But really, really good movie. I watched that a few days ago.
I watched Frieren, the elf anime. That's really good.
Cool. Yeah, like The Holdovers is like the first movie I've seen since like I was a kid where I'm like, I would watch this like every Christmas, like add it to the lineup,
What are your go-to Christmas movies?
I like a Christmas, It's Christmas Charlie Brown.
Okay.
That's like the GOAT. I like It's a Wonderful Life, although I also didn't see that one all the way through until I was in like high school. Elf is fun.
I hate Elf.
My family watched A Christmas Story every year, so I like A Christmas Story, even if it's not the best movie ever made.
Same. I'm a big How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey.
Rachel loves that. I hate that movie. It's
you should go
so
off-putting. You should go talk to my mom. My mom hates that movie.
Everything's filmed with a fisheye lens. It's like so garish and disturbing. It's like, actually,
let's add that to the list of things we can talk about next podcast because it's adapted from a book.
Yeah, that's true. We could cover both of those in one episode easily. Let me find this quote.
What do you mean both of them? There's 3 of them, Josh.
Okay, so Roger Ebert says of the 2000s How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This is a movie that devotes enormous resources to the mistaken belief that children and their parents want to see a dank, eerie, weird movie about a sour creature who lives on top of a mountain of garbage, scares children, is mean to his dog, and steals everyone's Christmas presents.
I agree with all of that, except the part where he says mistakenly believes.
No, it's just like, the cartoon is good.
Yeah.
And it's all you needed. And it's just like, Jim Carrey's funny, but it's just like, why is everything about this movie like so off-putting in every possible way? Like even the parts that are supposed to be happy and just like the Who's, it's just like they're so ugly. The cinematography is so ugly. Like
it's the greatest film of all time. It to me it's not as good as Cat in the Hat, of course, which ruined all live action juice makes.
True. And of course, last night we both returned to Pandora.
That's true.
It's good.
I liked it. Again, I still think it's very weird that like the final act of that movie is just a recycle of the final act in the second movie.
Yeah. To be clear, we're talking about Avatar: Fire and Ash, which, like I said last episode, I am one of the weird people who likes the Avatar movies and occasionally even rewatches them when they're not in theaters.
I like them. I don't rewatch them.
Yeah. I don't rewatch them a lot because they're long and pretty simple.
Well, so like the thing I talked about, what I thought the third act was going to be was both Spider and Jake get kidnapped and he's about to be executed and the boy is gonna have the fungus from his lungs removed. If you've not seen this movie, you should go see it, I guess. But like it's gonna be incomprehensible from now on.
Oh yeah, spoilers for Avatar 3 from now
on. And I thought like all the Na'vi were gonna go and like raid the town and like save them.
That makes sense. I kind of expected the finale to take place on, I think it's called Beachhead, which is the humans' base camp.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't necessarily expect the exact plot details you described to happen. I just expected that to be where the final fight took place.
Well, I just assumed it was going to be a matter of like Neytiri's like has to like go save Spider.
But I do feel like, because I've seen a lot of people be like, it's just a retread of the first two. And I'm like, honestly, the second one was more of a retread of the plot of the first one than this one is of either of the preceding ones. Like, I think, and this is damning the first two with faint praise, because I'm not like, they're not perfect movies or anything. The character writing is very thin. But I'm like, in this one, the characters are finally like set up enough that they have some complex dynamics between them.
Yeah.
And there's more interesting character drama happening than ever happens in the first two. So the plot's a little less straightforward until the finale, but it's like, it's the finale of an Avatar movie. Like, the Na'vi fight and kill a bunch of humans. Like
all of those were awesome, by the way.
Like, what did you expect?
I love nothing more than when humanity tries to punch nature and nature punches back harder.
Yeah, it is funny because I'm like, the first movie spends a lot of its screen time turning the humans into acceptable targets so that you'll like accept it when they just get like slaughtered in mass at the end. You're like, oh yeah, that ruled, because they destroyed the big tree and the beauty of nature. And then the sequels are just like, you saw the first one, fuck these guys, we're going to kill them.
Well,
like, they don't spend any time on that.
I will say that, like, I mean, the second one and the third one both, like, deal with the repercussions of, like, whaling and whatnot. And like,
that's true. I mean, they're not, obviously, they're still doing bad things. And just, like, the villains are always chewing the scenery.
But I'm saying that, like, I mean, just the comical, like, capitalistic mindset that, like, the Elon Musk character has.
Yeah.
But, like, no, I mean, I think they don't have to try as hard because whaling, like, humans don't really see trees and like plants as alive as like whales do, so like we feel less bad when trees and stuff are destroyed.
Yeah, it is interesting that, because it really like that is like how whaling worked in real life. Like that's where the sperm of whales comes from, is their head, which is what they're doing in the movie. It's just like a magical substance now.
Yeah, as was also the magical substance underneath the tree.
Yeah, unobtainium. I think it's weird that they haven't even mentioned unobtainium once in the past two movies.
I mean,
after it was so important and everybody was so mad about calling it unobtainium.
Well, I mean, that's like the stand-in. Like that's in lots of things. Of like, it's just like your magical magical.
It's a hypothetical, like perfect resource, and it makes sense that if you found something, the name could stick to it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me, but I just think it's weird that it existed in the first movie and was really important, and then they were like, magical fountain of youth brain goo from whales is more important now.
Well, I mean, I think it's because James Cameron wanted whales, and I think that's the shift.
He likes water more than trees.
That's true.
Yeah. Final conclusion: if you liked or tolerated the previous Avatar movies, you will like or tolerate this one. If you disliked them, it will not convert you to liking them.
I'm so curious as to the fourth one, because now there's like 6 different factions of like various. It's getting complicated, and I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, because people are like, well, it's so simple. He just retreads the plot. Like he never makes it more complicated. When you step back and look at it, it's like there's some weird stuff in this one that would not have gone down in the first one. Like, and it's getting complicated. So, and it's just like so it's just like so carefully done to make sure the audience can follow it that
Mhm.
it like seems less complicated than it is, I think.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is like not ever amazing. Different movies have different
Strengths and weaknesses.
strengths. Yeah. Well, that's all from me, I think.
Can't wait for the time skip in the fourth one.
Yeah. That's what they say is going to happen. Be interesting.
Well, that's all, folks. Thanks, as always, to everyone who made this podcast possible. Thanks to those who worked on the adaptation, making this world just a little bit more artful. Thanks to you guys for listening. Join us next time as we enter the world of Narnia with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.